third episode of Heading West, where we bring you to the frontier of capital markets and Web3. And today's guest, we have Elise DeCamp, the CEO and founder of Toki.
Thank you so much for having me, Hunter. Delighted.
Of course, Elise. I'm very happy you're here, and I think the guests are going to love this episode. And then to kind of give a little overview, and today we're going to be diving into the future of Web3, e-commerce, the future of loyalty rewards, and how Toki is bringing a gamified shopping experience to the market. So, Elise, to dive in now, I'm curious, when was Toki started, and then what was the idea behind starting Toki?
We started coding on Toki in May, and we are set to launch our alpha program in August, here in 2 weeks. It was a long time coming. I started thinking about Toki last summer, and it took some time to kind of jump into the ecosystem, decide we're full force ahead, but it worked out perfectly. Got the chance to talk to a lot of brands earlier this year in like January about what they might want in a loyalty program and what's been missing in the e-com tech stack. Then got to talk to investors about sort of their sort of interest in investing in the space, and then got to sort of build a team. And so it was a kind of perfect timeline, and hopefully it'll continue to be appropriately timed despite the market. We'll see.
Definitely. No, that's great to hear. And then I'm curious too, like they're very big emerging markets, e-commerce and Web3. What was the idea behind combining those, and kind of why did you choose to pick those two out of other sectors in the market?
Yeah, I mean, e-commerce has seen so much growth in the past 5 years, but particularly the past 2 years, and it's definitely seen a downturn more recently. It's gone sort of normalized back to pre-COVID levels, but it's been a space that I've been in a majority of my career, and so it's something I feel like I know very deeply, and I really couldn't imagine building in another sector. I think there's applications, obviously, for utility and for the blockchain and many other sectors, but this is kind of the one that I felt like I could speak to. And in thinking about the applications of blockchain within e-commerce, there are, different categories with which it could be utilized. I think about supply chain tracking as like another category that we could have gotten into. For me and my background, I actually had a brand for a period of time and experienced some of the pain points related to growth. And so experiencing that pain point made me really attracted to solving for that problem. And so that problem that I faced way back in like 2017 has gotten even more challenging in the past like few years, because brands really can't rely on Facebook as like a paid advertising channel to grow their business profitably anymore. And it was for a long time. It was like a killer opportunity. And of course, there are other opportunities now, like TikTok, for example. But you really do have to have a strong playbook for growth and acquisition and retention. And so that's the problem I wanted to solve for brands. And I think that this is where we're tackling it pretty much.
No, that's awesome. I think it's important too how you've kind of taken your previous experience and applied them to the futures with Toki, just because the market is only getting more competitive,
Yes.
as we're all aware of. So that's great to hear. And then for one of my probably most favorite questions, so what blockchain is Toki built on?
That's our least favorite question. Yeah,
I know, that's why I have to ask.
It's actually really good. We're building a subnet on Avalanche, and we're super excited about that. I was actually at the Ava offices last night, really excited about the team there. And so we are pumped to be building an Avalanche ecosystem, but we're also pumped to be thinking about the future of cross-chain application and what that could look like a few years down the road. So that's where we are.
No, that's awesome. I think AVAX is a great network. And for people listening too, I think it's interesting, in my opinion, as an investor to know, where companies are actually building on. Not that it's going to matter down the road, but from an investor standpoint, it's super neat to kind of understand where people are building. And then I'm curious, so what benefits does Toki provide compared to other loyalty platforms that are currently in the market now?
That's a really good question. So we could look at the competitive landscape from two different angles. We could look at the Web 2 landscape of loyalty, and then we can look at the Web 3 landscape of loyalty. So from a Web 2 perspective, we feel like the range of activities that you can reward a user for taking, as well as the rewards connected to it, are quite limited. Part of the reason we wanted to get into the space is that there's just not enough flexibility around what a user can do, what you can give them for it. And so we want to connect to
Mhm.
every single on-site and off-site activity that you might be taking, down to, I mean, unfortunately, like, hate to break it to anyone who's listening who doesn't know this, but like, brands can see everything that you're doing. They can see how much time you're spending on site, every click that you take. There's programs that just sort of video recording your screen as you make activities. So
Interesting.
I think it's interesting, and I think it's actually a really great opportunity to be able to reward people for that behavior. We're interested in empowering the user to know that and be able to get rewarded for the things that they're doing in a way that's gamified, and in a way that's not sort of yet not um, I don't know, speculative, I guess. Like, we do have like barometers around this, so it's not like you can, like, I'm going to spend, the next 24 hours on
Hmm.
Nike's website so I can make like $500. There's none of that, unfortunately. Sorry. But
Yeah.
so from like a Web 2 perspective, I think we feel like there's like, just, we're expanding up on that. It's like, I think there's a lot more opportunities there. And from a reward perspective, we want to get into more activities that are surrounding personalized discounting based on what's in your wallet, and token gating, of course, which is like a very common topic. So we think that the wallet is your unique identifier. It's the new age cookie, and so you should get rewarded for what's in there, whether it be at the specific brand that you're shopping at or other places you shopped in the past, if you want to share that information. Um, and yeah, and so that's kind of what makes what we're doing Web 2.5, right? We think that there's
Hmm.
things within the Web 2 landscape that are interesting. There's a lot of like segmentation based on behavior, and we think that's very good. In the Web 3 world, some of the competitors that we're going up against are very focused on NFTs as membership. So it's sort of more about like paid loyalty versus earned loyalty. And so
Hmm.
we think there's a place for both. And so we're playing into sort of both aspects.
No, definitely. I love that. I like the earn loyalty aspect. I think that would definitely appeal to a lot more broader audience. So it's super interesting what you guys are doing, and that's why we have you on. And then, so I'm curious, is Toki the first company building in Web3 or like integrating
No,
loyalty
no.
wise?
So other ones that are
Okay.
building in loyalty are, again, the kind of like NFT membership-y kind of
Got it.
space. So
Okay.
there is Rare Circles that started. I think they're one of like the first ones to announce a fundraise. Hang NFT is another one that's recently raised. Perks, another one. So yeah, there's definitely players. Shopify has done a really great job of supporting the ecosystem of partners. That's like a big part of their general growth strategy as a tech company, is to support their partner network. And so they have a list of partners that they're partnering with, and so in various categories. I mean, that speaks specifically to like NFT loyalty, but there's also token gating is another category
Mhm.
that they're focused on. Um, NFT minting with physical product is another one, and we partner with a number of softwares in that space too that kind of are where we can work together, mutually benefit each other. So, yeah,
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy to see what Shopify's done for the whole
yeah,
e-commerce space, and I'm excited to see where they're going to take the market. So it's going to
totally.
be interesting. And then if you can kind of explain on like a basic level for anyone listening, how does Toki integrate with like NFTs? Is that like in the like they have an NFT as like their wallet or their like unique identifier? And do they have different NFTs on different sites or do they have a
Yeah,
universal?
I think we're taking a NFTs are a bit of a side feature set for us right now. It's not core to what we're doing. So what
Okay.
happens in our portal is you set up your program and you say, I want to give a user X number of tokens based on this activity. You then set up your reward tiers and say, when someone has X number of tokens, I want to unlock this reward tier, which gets my users free shipping or token gated access or whatever. And you can connect an NFT to that reward tier. So it becomes this kind of, it's an earned experience, again, versus like a purchased experience. So an NFT for us becomes this kind of receipt of ownership, of earned ownership, I guess, per se. Does that make sense?
Got it. That's super interesting. Yeah, no, it does make sense. Yeah, I think it's very interesting, everything that you guys are doing, and it's great. And then I was checking out the cross collaboration feature on your guys' site, which I thought was one of the neatest features. Can you kind of touch on that and how that works from like a customer perspective and then a brand perspective as well?
Yeah, 100%. So I think that's the most interesting part of what we're doing too. We would I do. Well, I think network is like really, really relevant. And what's so interesting and
Yeah.
what's necessary for brands to grow these days is like they need to lean on one another to
Hmm.
um, create like a comprehensive like acquisition strategy. Like it just doesn't make sense to grow on your own anymore. And so we have a few different ways you can do that within our portal. And what this kind of I guess I can talk about sort of like two of them, but one being we believe that the wallet is sort of again this like unique identifier for who you are and where you've shopped. Consumers have control over sharing that data with brands and saying, I would like to get higher rewards and if I do that, I do that by sharing where I've shopped in the past. And so if you do that, you could potentially receive personalized discounts from a brand that you're shopping at because you've shopped somewhere else before, if that makes sense. So it gets into this like
Definitely.
collective consumer behavior and how sharing that gives you personalized discounts benefits. So that's kind of like one thing we sort of get into. It's only possible when you have this sort of shared network of consumer behavior. Then the other aspect of this kind of like cross-brand collaboration is this like collab tool where two brands could collaborate together for a period of time and say, you know, when Hunter shops on one of our sites, he's collecting tokens from both brands. And so this becomes this kind of, it's almost like getting a gift card from a like-minded brand and that you sort of just, that lives in your
Hmm.
wallet. You might be shopping at Nike, but Nike's doing a collab with Sephora. All of a sudden you made a purchase at Nike. And so you actually have Sephora tokens in your wallet as well that unlock free shipping next time you go to Sephora. And so maybe that's relevant to you, that maybe it's not, maybe that's a really bad example.
No, no, it was good. It was good. It was
I mean,
universal. It was
Sephora's
really
kind of,
good.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're a company that's done loyalty and rewards very well historically, and so they always come to mind.
hmm,
But
definitely. No, that makes sense. I think it's interesting how you guys are empowering customers and merchants at the same time.
yeah,
And I think it's going to be neat how I think it's very hard to compete against the Amazons of the world, the big corps. So I think by you guys, you know, allowing brands to collaborate, help push each other's audiences and help them
exactly.
grow, it's going to be really interesting in the future. And then, so currently, how large is the Toki network?
In what metric are we talking?
That's a little broad. Yeah. I'm curious if like, do like different brands that you
Mm.
can collaborate with and whatnot. Is there like a number you guys are at and looking to get to, or is that just always growing, or what does that kind of look
Yeah,
like?
we're being a bit closed right now, right? We are launching our alpha
Mm,
product in August, and it's just we're collecting case studies and data points based on that. So that's with about like 20 different brands, and they're from every single sector, and they are of different sizes, and that is more for us to be able to track success metrics and understand the best way to set up these programs, because we do have kind of like a recommended framework that we are suggesting, and we want to kind of test out those different sort of theses and KPIs and stuff. Post August, we will be opening up and onboarding more people that have kind of been on our wait list. So right now we are,
That's
small
awesome.
and test stat.
Yeah, there we go. And then for anyone listening, merchants that have companies or brands, what does the process look like to, start working with Toki? Is that join the wait list? Are there requirements?
Yeah, they're really, we are mainly building within the Shopify ecosystem right now. So Shopify or headless are kind of not necessarily requirements, but kind of typical. We have had some conversations with closed communities that are outside of ecom that we'd be willing to sort of speak to. The process is really to go to our website. There's a button to book a demo. So you have a conversation with someone on our team, go through the demo, talk through your needs, use cases, and then we put together sort of a plan and kind of see what makes sense. Makes sense to join our beta or wait and go from there.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I recommend anyone listening definitely check out Toki's site. And if you're interested, get started and schedule a demo. And then, so with any partners, do you guys have any major partners right now? And is that something you guys are looking to build upon in the future?
Yeah, partnerships wise right now, our main thing is partnering with agencies that are interested in being forward thinking with the brands that they're working with. So it's those are our main partnerships. I think that agencies are the lifeblood of commerce. They really dictate the future
Definitely.
and are kind of the thought leaders in the space. So we're mainly focused on having really strong agency partnerships. We'll sort of think about, we've already started to think about what other partnerships could potentially look like, specifically with point of sale kind of platforms and how we can really grow our offline kind of presence as at the same time as our online.
No, definitely. I love the forward thinking. It's important. And then I've noticed you guys take obviously a lot of pride in building community because that's what Toki is kind of based upon. And I noticed you guys have host events on your website. So I'd love to see if you can kind of touch on those for anyone listening, or would love to get involved and learn more about Toki and kind of what those look like as a whole.
Please reach out. Those are very community driven. And also they're very sort of e-com specific at this point in time, but I would love to expand outside into crypto and other sort of networks. Right now I travel a lot. We do things in all cities. And so please reach out for any sort of dinners. And then we're also doing sort of webinars as well. So if you can't make it to something, we have thought leaders in the space come in and talk about sort of how they're thinking about Web3 or how they're thinking about commerce and how it intersects on a regular basis. So we're excited to get people involved in our community anytime.
Yeah, no, definitely. When I came across it, I was excited myself. That's awesome to see a brand, doing that and trying to build that community at the core.
Important.
So it's great to see. And then to kind of wrap things up, if you had one piece of advice to give for another founder building in Web 2, 2.5, or Web 3,
my goodness.
what would it be?
I forgot that this is a really good question. I was talking to someone about this last night, but I think that just fail. Fail fast on your own. It's really hard to look at other examples out there, and everyone has a different experience based on what they're building and the time that they're building in. Everything is so unique. It's hard to rely on a mentor or another case study as a example in your sort of building experience. So if you have an inkling to build something, jump in as quickly as you can. Don't be afraid to fail, and just keep failing and iterating all the time.
Definitely. No, that's some great advice. That's my mindset personally as well for anyone close to me. Is if you have an idea, it's better to get started today than it is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I love that. But that is it for episode 3. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you, Elise, for hopping
Thank you.
on.
Thank
I
you so much for
appreciate
having
it.
me. Thanks for asking good questions.
And of course, thank you. And I'm going to leave Elise's information in the description below, and you can find everything you possibly want to know about Toki. And we will
Cool.
see you guys in the
Thank you.
next one. Thanks so much.